Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom's back, and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives and another episode of pack review. It's actually been a very long time since I've done a pack review or what you can get from that pack. So today we are back, and of course, sponsored today. Well, we're not actually sponsored, but with me today is the Hot Wheel of the day. It's this Chevelle, which I picked up recently last week. It's very nice. It's the premium one with the nice little, real riders. With the rubber tires. I just want to show that. It was sitting on my desk. There's always a different car sitting on my desk by my desktop. But anyway, welcome to the episode of Pack. What can you get from that pack? Pack that we are reviewing today is that Peugeot EGT carbon fiber. And I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Blossom, isn't it a bit too late to review the Peugeot carbon fiber? I mean, the finals is ending in about 4 hours and 57 minutes as I'm recording this video. Yeah, I mean, in terms of a final standpoint, it might be a bit too late to review this pack. And that's why, usually in this series, I will do two different tier brackets or tier lists. The other one is how good the cars are in the final. So I'm not going to do that for today's video, but I don't think it's too late to make this video because honestly, even if you're not even competing for the prize car or not, I think this is a great pack to open, and I'm going to tell you why. So even if you don't need to get the prize car, this is why you should even consider opening the pack. So first of all, we all know that EGT is a very one-dimensional update, right? It's mostly, spearheaded by Audis that are all the same. They're all four-wheel drive and performance tires. Some are low and some are medium. The thing about Peugeot and what they bring to the table, especially for EGT, is that they're so versatile. You got medium ground clearance, low ground clearance, you've got standard tires, off-road tires, slick tires, performance tires, rear-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, yada, 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 yada. Right? High ground clearance, low ground clearance, convertibles, saloons, all that kind of stuff. There's a lot to look at here, Usually for Audis, it's just saloons, hatchbacks, that's it. And honestly, besides Audi, besides Peugeot, EGT, in my opinion, a little bit irrelevant, right? Like a little bit of the Lancias, a little bit of the Alphas. The McLarens are great, but they're all high-end. So anyway, let's review this pack, shall we? As always, here are the ranks. Highly versatile. Versatile has its moments. Severely overrated. And of course, the classic, hot the garbage, right? So we're going to begin with the Peugeot 208 GTI by Peugeot Sport. Now, I think it will have its moments. I don't think it's severely overrated. As an RQ51, it does bring a lot of value. Not a lot, but at least a little bit of value to the table, right? It's medium ground clearance, and it has 93 handling when you max it out. I mean, that's basically what you expect from a front-wheel drive car, and honestly, 93 handling and medium ground clearance is very useful. So honestly, I would say that it has its moments. I have mine fully upgraded. I've used it in a few front-wheel drive events and clubs. I've used it in a lot of EGT events already, especially with the EGT trials going on right now. I think a lot of these Peugeots are going to be very, very useful. So I'm going to put it in has its moments because I genuinely don't think that this is an overrated car because of its handling and how it stands out, and also its medium ground clearance. It will definitely have its moments. Now, moving on is the Peugeot 208 Rally 4. I'm going to put it in has its moments as well. I don't think it's the best front-wheel drive off-roader out there, but let me show you real quick because I have a lot. I've got a lot of comparisons over here, right? So, for example, this is off-road EGT only, okay? EGT only. We got a little bit of ice, a little bit of sand, a little bit of snow, right? And as you can see, the 208 Rally is pretty strong. I mean, it beats, all the other off-road or all surface tire cars in EGT. Some people might say, Blossom, this isn't fair because, I'm comparing this against a bunch of all surface tire cars and one off-road tire car. And, I mean, you're right, but you're also wrong. Number one, it is kind of fair because, again, I'm comparing cars way higher in RQ, but the Peugeot is able to hit, above its RQ, but also at the same time, it's off-road tires. It's not fair to compare it against all surface, and I get that. But also at the same time, when you're in the EGT trials and your track sets is off-road and you can use any ultra rare, there's a challenge going on for EGT right now, which the only sole requirement is ultra rare and EGT, then it doesn't really matter because in that scenario, the Peugeot Rally is going to be competing against the Alpha, is going to be competing against the Audi because they're in that same pool. They're under the same requirement, right? That being said, though, the Peugeot 208 Rally 4 isn't the best off-roader. That title actually goes to the Clio. As you can see over here, the Clio wins absolutely everything. It's crazy. And if I wanted to add more cars, right? Let's say we go out of EGT, for example. I believe that Skoda Felicia is the one that you want to go for. Well, it trades blows with the Clio. To be fair, we did talk about this car in overrated or overpowered, and that thing is ridiculously strong. But as you can see over here, that the 2.8 rally doesn't really shine anymore, right? So, you know, I think it will have its moments, but I don't think it'll hit any higher above that. Obviously, if it's a Peugeot off-road event and you need to save some RQ, Rally 4 is going to be great. But remember, Peugeot, they got a bunch of four-wheel drive off-road legendaries up those ranks. So if you can use a little bit more RQ, this 2.8 is going to be a little bit irrelevant. Moving on now is this other Peugeot 305 Rally. I think this is severely overrated. Honestly, the only reason why it's not hot garbage is because it has off-road tires, but honestly, it's weak. It doesn't handle. You know, when it comes to off-road tire cars, the main thing that you need is, you know, things that handle. And unfortunately, the Peugeot, that one isn't. 74 stock is really weak, to be honest. So yeah, I think that's severely overrated. Now moving on to the Peugeot 5 by Peugeot Concept. I think it's pretty good. Here's another one that we're looking at. So again, I'm comparing it only in an EGT sense, but again, it's hitting a lot higher than its weight. It's RQ51. I'm putting it up against, you know, 53s, 52s, 54s. You know, some are four-wheel drive standard, some are, you know, front-wheel drive standard. I'm just basically comparing it up against all the standard tire, low RQ ultra rares from EGT. And the Peugeot 5 handles very well. I mean, like it handles its own very well in its competition. It's the best for Monaco G-Force, Slalom, G-Force, and car park, and you know, it's cheaper to use than a lot of things over here. Not to mention, when it comes to just French standard tire cars in general, this thing will be competing against the DS Wild Rubises, right? And those things do not handle at all. So the Peugeot 5, it's just gonna be really good, I think. I mean, if you don't believe me, we'll add in the Rubises right now just so you can see. So yeah, there you go. Here's another one there. I think there's another DS, but I don't know what the name is. It's this one, right? So 1, 2. Okay, well, this is really good on the hairpin, so it has that. But the Peugeot Concept is still the best for car park, G4 Slalom, and it's even able to beat, you know, these two cars on, you know, karting circuit. It's got better times. Even the twisty circuit's got better times, and it's cheaper to use than the Citroen and the DS. So, you know, that's another thing to think about. So I would say that it's actually versatile, because not only does it excel in EGT, it excels with, you know, just French standard tire ultra rares in general if you need to save a little bit of RQ and you can't use that numero 9. So I think that's very good. Moving on is the Peugeot HX1. I mean, is medium ground clearance? Yes. 86 handling when you max it out. I think it will have its moment. Honestly, borderline severely overrated. I think it's a very low hazard moments, high severely overrated, somewhere in that gray area between. I think that this again will be relatively useful in the EGT trials, but honestly speaking, outside of that, I don't think it'll be that useful anymore, honestly. I need to think about medium ground clearance, you know, EGT cars. I don't think there's a lot going for it. Not that I can remember off the top of my head, but we can filter real quick. Performance, medium, EGT. I think it's already, yeah, I mean, yeah, there's the Renault. I mean, yeah, I get it. This is four-wheel drive and it's probably better than the Audis, but that's not saying much, is it? So we're going to put it in severely overrated for now. Putting on, next up is the Peugeot Instinct. The Instinct, again, I have another comparison over here. I mean, again, it's very RQ57-esque. It beats the Audi Quattros. It beats all the Audis, basically, from EGT, right? So it's pretty decent. Handles pretty well, 91. Got a relatively low 0 to 60 compared to, you know, its competition is 4.490. That's 4.291. So it handles a little better, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then again, if you put it up against the Audi TT Quattro, the TT Quattro is so much better, right? And also another thing to talk about the Peugeot Instinct is that when it comes to the wet conditions, if I take away the TT Quattro 61, it's actually not that good. The Audi TT Quattro 2.0 actually is the better option in the wet. As you can see, the Instinct is the best for forest road, deals gap really won in North Rally 3, which is very random assortment of cars. But yeah, I mean, if I click show other tracks, I mean, what else? Ooh, there are a lot of tracks. That took a while to load. Look at that. Okay, well, look at that. I mean, yeah, for the drags, it's a better car. For the dockyard stuff, it's a better car. I mean, overall, especially in the dry, that Peugeot Instinct is going to be better. Even in the wet drags, it's a better car. I would say it definitely has its moments, and especially now, you know, really early on into the EGT trials, and honestly, even for this final alone, a lot of people are using it. It will have its moment. It's pretty good, especially, you know, French ultras in general. You know, they're not very versatile before EGT, but I think that the Peugeots really add some life into that collection. All right, the SXC, this is like the bogey car. I don't want to say it's hot garbage, but it kind of is. It's high ground clearance, it's four-wheel drive, so there's a little bit of value to take away from that. 85 handling when you max it out, but it is the worst of the bunch. It is RQ50. It is the closest thing to the Super out of everything here. Hot garbage, yeah. Last but not least is the Peugeot 207R Cup. Look, I want to put it in highly versatile, but it's no Peugeot Maxi now, is it? You take it out of EGT, it's still a good car, but it's not the Maxi. So, am I going to put it in highly versatile? No, but it's definitely versatile for sure. Moving on to 207 Spider Concept. Now, this thing handles really well. It's very light. It's nimble. I think it will have its moments. The only issue is that it's on a Q67. But then again, there are not a lot of performance tire EGT cars to go around. That being said, again though, you've got the 407, which is, you know, the better option. So the 407 I think is versatile. You know, I think it's a pretty good car. In terms of EGT, we've already talked about this car in overrated or overpowered. And if you've not watched that series, I would highly recommend it. It's on my channel as well. This thing is able to beat the McLaren on Car Park and G-Force, if I remember correctly. The RQ79 McLaren, the one that everyone says is like, you know, there's going to be super OP and all that kind of stuff, but it turned out to be kind of a disappointment. Again, that McLaren, this Peugeot, you know, when it comes to an EGT event and it's like dry asphalt, they're going to be fantastic. But in a general sense, they're not the best thing in the world, but they're still good. And the fact that the Peugeot, this one right here, is able to hit above its weight, I'm going to put it in versatile. And I think the only reason why I'm not going to put the 207 in versatile is because this car exists and there's always going to be a better option to use. Next up is the 3008. That's hot garbage for sure. I mean, unfortunately, that thing is not going to bring in a lot of value. Next thing is the Peugeot 4002 Concept. Now, this car, I know what a lot of people are going to say already. It's ugly. But I know the other thing that a lot of people are going to say. MRA in this thing. It's pretty good, isn't it? It is. It's 95 MRA. That being said, though, it's still not that great. So 95 MRA, here it is at 233 because there aren't a lot of 332 times on the drag. It's only the 1 mile, but you know, it ties with the ISMA, which is pretty cool. But anyway, let's bring it back to 233 for a second. As you can see, it's good on the quarter mile against things like the Diablo SV, the Viper ACR, and all that kind of stuff. But also at the same time, the moment you bring in more of a specialist like the Bristol Fighter, even at 233, the Bristol Fighter is the better car. You take away the Bristol Fighter, you put in the Dodge Challenger, for example. There are no times for like, you know, 233, so I have to put in 332. Better car as well. You know, even if this thing's at 332, it's still not going to beat that Challenger on the 1 mile, although this has the MRA and the top speed. The Challenger doesn't have that much of a top speed, at least not as much as the Peugeot. But unfortunately, the Peugeot 4002, although it has good MRA, it just doesn't bring the same amount of value, and it isn't the same bargain as, you know, a Challenger or a Bristol Fighter. Even if you take away these two cars, it's still like trading blows with an RQ65 Jerry, right? The Alfa Romeo Isima, which to be fair is a really good car. It's got 112 MRA. But overall, you know, on paper, it seems like it has potential, but I still think it's still severely overrated, or at least a little overrated. Now, moving on to the medium ground clearance Peugeot, the last thing I want to show you guys over here. So, unfortunately, there are not a lot of times that I can showcase to you right now. I did want to compare it against, you know, the EGT Audis, but unfortunately, there aren't a lot of times with the EGT Audis. I mean, this thing has no times with 233. I mean, 323, there's still no times. This car has no times. This car has times, but it's bad. And then this car has no times as well. If I put in 223, you know, it trades blows here and there. There's not much to see. Gotta say though, this Flux. Look at that Flux, man. RQ67. But it's better than everything here. Here's the thing though, I'll show you a picture of the Flux right now. Is that actually low ground clearance? You tell me. You guys be the judge of that, okay? But for now, the Flux is good, so I'm gonna put that in versatile, right? It's a great bargain. It's better than the other medium ground clearance stuff. For the rest of these Peugeots though, it's an interesting situation because they're all four-wheel drive, they're all medium, they all handle, you know, relatively okay. They're slightly better than the Audis, you know. Well, let's have a look at the times again. Are they actually slightly better than the Audis? As you can see, I can't really tell because there are no times or anything over here. To be fair, this S4 event does seem to be shining a little bit more on the twisty scenarios. But yeah, overall, I would say they're kind of average. They're saloons, which are cool, but that Flux is just a better car. So I would say that these cars will probably have its moments. Even the Estate, just because it's an Estate, I think it'll have its moments. The 508 Sport engineered as well. They're all just kind of okay. Maybe this one's maybe severely overrated, or at least slightly overrated, because, you know, why use this when you have these two, right? Then we have the Peugeot Exalts, hot garbage, and then the Quartz. Now the Quartz is really, really useful in this final. That's about it though, isn't it? I mean, it's got a really low 0 to 60. It's high ground clearance, so it has a very useful niche. If there was ever a high ground clearance event, that quartz might be pretty useful in. So I'm going to put that in versatile for now. It is still a relatively new car, so maybe if it doesn't withstand the test of time, I'll bump it down one. But I see good things from the quartz and the flux. I don't think that they're like, blossom choice tier. I don't think they're fantastic or anything like that, but they are good. They are useful. There will be times to use them. The RC High Motion 4, I mean, that's hot garbage in my opinion. Again, just... it looks like there are a lot of medium ground clearance Peugeots now, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, this is high, and it seems like it's getting pretty oversaturated. So if you're the worst of the worst, you're not going to bring a lot of value to the table. But if you're the best of the best, like the Flux, then it makes you stand out. Now moving on to the legendaries, every single one of this is going to be on the highest rank. I don't think anything deserves to go any lower. We've reviewed these two cars before and overrated or overpowered. These two pass with flying colors. The Proxima's got a fantastic MRA count. I think it's like 109. The Inception's got a low 0 to 60. I would say that the Inception, this one is the most sus of the legendaries. It's got traction control, it's got ABS, 4-wheel drive, right? Yes, the handles not that great. Top speed for its RQ isn't that great as well. I'm gonna bump it down to versatile. Still a good rank, but just not the best. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. Overall, I think this is just a great pack to open if you want to get invested into this update, especially for things like the EGT trials. In terms of events where it doesn't restrict you to using just Audis or something like that, these cars are going to be really useful. If there are any off-road track sets in an EGT trial that you need to encounter, the 208 is going to be, that will be its moment. If there's any super twisty scenarios where you need to use an Ultra in EGT, you got cars like the 207 Cup that's going to have its moment as well. If you need some medium ground clearance stuff, honestly, the Peugeot Flux is the one that you want to go for as long as it stays medium. So overall, it's a great pack. I mean, we've already done the 30,000 gold opening for this, so I don't need to explain too much about it. I think it's worth the effort for sure. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for today. Let me know down in the comments below if you agree or disagree with my evaluation of the pack. But I hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jacksonville
Atlantic.
Blonde hair, don't care, look like Leslie Brooks. Pin up girls everywhere with the drop dead look. Swing it side to side as we slow dance to the night. When I'll hold your perfect hand and take you out just for a ride. We'll share milkshakes at the diner and rebel at every hour. We can watch a drive-in movie, then have romance in the shower. Sleek my hair, light a lucky cig, lucky strike. Have a bowl at the bowling rig, lucky strike. Get some Elvis, play that J-House rock, jazzy. Spread the groove all around the block, jazzy. Boy, it must be good to be living in the 50s. A time just past the war and just before the hippies. Imagine being rich with just a single dollar. Cars were meant for charming and girls were called my darling. Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling